Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features the Uncanny X-Men number 240, cover dated January 1989. This is an amazing dynamic cover by Marc, Silvestri and Dan Green, dated July 1988. And we see here also the Inferno logo sitting above and over even the X-Men title logo itself. And the cover caption exclaims, "Nastir, Mr Sinister, the Goblin Queen, the Marauders. This one's got it all," and indeed it does. So let's open this up to the splash page and the title of the story, the Strike the Match. The setting here is the Rainbow Room atop the Rockefeller Building in Midtown Manhattan. Creative team is Chris Claremont writer, Marc Silvestri penciler, Dan Green inker, Glynis Oliver colorist, and Tom Orzechowski letterer. So even though it's the summertime and the Rainbow Room should be fully booked, no one is there except for Madelyne and Havok dancing alone to the accompaniment of the house band and the maitre d' waiting on them there in the background. So turn over the page. We see Madelyne and Havok enjoying each other's company. Madelyne pulling a bottle of champagne from the ice cooler, and they head out onto the balcony where we get a view of Midtown Manhattan. We see the Empire State Building there and the Twin Towers down there at the end of the island. And so they toast each other, and all through their dialogue there's lots of wordplay in relation to Lucky Devil and let's see what else, Wicked and Lost Souls. So all this wordplay on terms that have something to do with hell and damnation, all of it ironic, of course, as Madelyne continues her transformation into the Goblin Queen. So their romantic moment is interrupted by this group here, who are a parody of the Ghostbusters, and they have been investigating strange happenings in the city. And they are investigating the apparent and strange growth of the Empire State Building. We saw that mentioned in the previous issue, where the Empire State Building has 102 stories, but its lift went up to 113. So they're investigating it. Havok goes over, interrupts them having a problem, folks, and the leader of the group gets angry with Havok. And all the while we see Madelyne in the background in shadow here and in complete silhouette there, communicating that she's not best pleased by the interruption of these psychic investigators. So the maitre d' comes over with his face distorted there under Madelyne's command, and the group of paranormal investigators are ejected. So they make their way into the lift, and we see on the walls of the lift depiction of these demons. And as the doors close, they're attacked by the demons, and we see Madelyne there in silhouette looking at them, grimacing. So she's the one who has ordered this disposal of the investigators. And then we find her looking through one of their pieces of equipment through its telephoto lens, and we can see at magnification 10 that something weird and strange is happening with the spire of the Empire State Building. So Alex comes along, and he doesn't appear to notice that Madelyne is in her Goblin Queen costume here, and so she turns around when he asks her, "See anything interesting?" "Only you," she says. And all through this opening sequence, Madelyne's dress keeps changing and recalls two dresses that Jean Grey wore before, back in Uncanny X-Men 98, when Scott and her were on a date at the Rockefeller Building itself, and then Uncanny X-Men 132 when she entered with the other X-Men, the Hellfire Club. But Madelyne also has other styles of dress beyond jeans, like this ballroom gown, and then these other styles more ripped here as well. So something is going on with her unconscious being expressed by these different kinds of dresses, and Alex doesn't seem to notice. So their date is over, and they enter the lift themselves. The female investigator's glasses are on the ground, and this is, I don't know if you can see it here, but this seems to be her pulled into the design, the bas relief or the mural on the inside of the lift, and this particular demon wearing one of their backpacks. So the implication is they've been absorbed into the demon realm. The date then is over, and what happens next is Gateway picks them up and brings them back to the Outback. Alex says, "It's been a lovely evening, Madelyne. I hope it's a long way from over." And she replies, "There'll be other evenings. For now, though, I prefer some time and space to myself." And she hops through Gateway's portal once more. Where to? We don't know, or Havok doesn't know, but we pick up with her on the next page. And it turns out she's at Bard College, which happens to be Chris Claremont's alma mater, where he studied politics and drama before taking up a writer's position at Marvel in the mid-70s. So Madelyne has gone to visit Jean Grey's grave, and while there, she has visions of Cyclops speaking to Jean Grey's gravestone, and also their marriage, the vows he makes, and what a liar he is in Madelyne's eyes. And then she blames Jean for it all. She says, "We were happy, we were a family until you came back. Why did you have to ruin everything? Why couldn't you have just stayed dead?" And she blasts the gravestone. And then it appears that Jean's mother and father are present, and that Madelyne blasts them and transmogrifies them as they enter into this kind of chrysalis type phase. And then what happens is she's interrupted by the arrival of Nastir. And she tells him, "Did you believe me some toy fit only for your pleasure? Don't bother denying it, Demon Lord. Your thoughts are pitifully transparent." So this shocks and surprises him. "Who are you?" he asks her. "My own woman," she responds. "Also your employer? You have news for me?" Because she sent him to find her baby and also the location of the Marauders. So he responds in the affirmative, and then emerging from the chrysalis is these demonic forms of Jean Grey's mother and father, who are now pets to Madelyne. So pretty occult, dark stuff going on here in the cemetery at Bard College. And then Madelyne accompanies Nastir to the promising lead that he's unearthed. So what that is, we have to wait till the end of the issue, and then we switch back to Australia, where it appears that Dazzler and Longshot are enjoying themselves on roller skates, but it turns out this isn't Dazzler. It is in fact Rogue, who's wearing Dazzler's outfit and angers Dazzler, because Dazzler has been having a romantic relationship with Longshot in the background of the Outback issues, and it's coming to a head here in terms of the status of their relationship. So Rogue says to Dazzler, "I thought Longshot was a person able to make his own choices about who to hang out with, not private property." And Ali responds, "Well, now you know." And Longshot here on the ground, bemused, picks up on that phrase, private property. "Doesn't that make me sort of like a slave?" Which was what he was on Mojo World. So it's not really the kind of phrasing that Ali should have used. So her jealousy here erupts in a fight with Rogue, who easily evades her dazzle blasts, while Longshot intervenes, trying to make the peace between them. Then the scene switches to Colossus, who is sketching a semi-nude Psylocke in his room or her room, but they're interrupted anyway by Rogue being blasted into through the window. And then we get the arrival of Longshot, where he castigates Ali, asking her, "Why did you do that? Friends don't own each other, Allison. Rogue and I are friends, the same as you and I were. You had no right to claim me as exclusively as your own." Perhaps the end of their relationship. Also just an odd little detail. Colossus continuing his sketching. He has that talent as an artist. But at this point he is able to transform back into his more human form. So it's an odd choice for him, even though it's difficult for him, he can still do it. It's an odd choice for him to be sketching in his organic steel mode. But anyway, then the scene switches to the computer control room, where Havok has been operating the computers while Madelyne's away and looking to locate the Marauders. And he locates them to the alley in Midtown Manhattan, the former abode of the Morlocks, who were slaughtered in the Mutant Massacre storyline back in Uncanny X-Men 210 to 212. And note here the use of a color hold in these two panels by Silvestri in green. And then Storm and Wolverine turn up asking what Havok's been up to, and he reveals that he has indeed located the Morlocks. So the whole idea of the X-Men continuing to let the world believe that they were dead was that they could emerge from the shadows, hit fast and hard their enemies. So we're going to see that play out now. So then the scene switches to Madelyne again, who has been brought by Nastir to Nebraska, specifically an orphanage there, and a location beneath the orphanage. So here there are these cocoons, similar to the creche that she saw in Genosha back in issue 238. But she has a vision here of a baby who turns into her. And then she wipes away the dust from the label over the pod, and she sees the label here identifying Madelyne as the former occupant. So we're learning something, potentially learning something about Madelyne's origins. Then the scene switches to the alley and the Marauders, who are busy at work, and we get an introduction to these the various Marauders. Last seen in the X-Men comic back in 221 and 222. And this guy Blockbuster is lugging a piece of equipment here down the tracks in the pitch black. And this is a great little scene here. He bumps into something and Wolverine asks him, "You want a light, bub?" And in the light, he sees Colossus. "You are a Marauder?" "Uh-huh. How are you called, please?" "Blockbuster. I'm Colossus." And Colossus just thumps him straight in the face. And what a thump it is. So then the next few pages we get this fight between the Marauders, various Marauders and the X-Men. So we have Sabretooth go up against Dazzler, who gets the better of him. Havok here using his plasma blasts against, I think it's Prism there. And just basically a set to between the two groups. And the upshot of it all is that there's a little moment between Polaris, possessed by Malice, and Havok. Havok is reluctant, loath to use his plasma blast, which he cannot control. He can't fine-tune the blasts, and he's worried if he shoots her, he'll kill her. And Malice mocks him for that. And then Colossus is thrown up through the roof of the tunnel and out onto the surface. where the Marauders flee, conceding the day to the X-Men, but promising a rematch in the future. And then as the X-Men emerge, we learn that something has happened to the city to stun both groups. But what indeed, we'll have to wait for the next issue to find out. And then we get our last page where we get this shocking revelation regarding Madelyne's origins. Mr Sinister shows up. Madelyne asks him, "You've a name, chum?" "Most referred to me as Mr Sinister, but you, Madelyne, my pride, my first and foremost joy, you may call me Father." So what a cliffhanger for the next issue. You would most definitely have to pick it up. So great art by Silvestri and Green throughout. Really nicely paced and dynamic issue. And as I said, a cliffhanger that you just had to come back the next month for the next issue. So I hope you enjoyed the review of Uncanny X-Men 240, part 1 of Inferno. If you did, please like the video. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.